Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again, back with Paper by 53. I wanted to begin by saying that I really wanted to go outside, take my iPad with me and sketch something for you. That was the plan for this week. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I've actually spent the week in hospital, not me in hospital, visiting somebody in hospital in a children's ward, and I've been there all week, so I haven't had time at all to get out. The good news is that nothing serious or anything. It's my daughter's baby, born premature about 3 months ago, and he's had a few procedures, but everything's good, everything's cool, and I'm back home again now. I was just there supporting my daughter, really. Anyway, while I was there, I thought I do need to do some sketching, so I took my sketchbook, or took my iPad actually, which is now my digital sketchbook, and I sat at the side of the cot and I sketched. I had a photo on my iPad of a place called Dobson's Boat Yard in a place called Shardlow near Castle Donington, near where I live. The hospital was actually 50 odd miles away, so I went up on the train and stayed there all week. So I didn't have access to any of my normal equipment, so that's why I haven't done a 712 things to draw video this week, because I've just not had any kit with me. But I did have my iPad, so I have to say an iPad is definitely very portable, because I sat next to this cot in an hospital ward, and I sketched this, passing the time away. Sounds awful, doesn't it? Go visiting somebody and actually spend the time sketching, but I wasn't sketching all the time. Sometimes I was talking to the baby and not ignoring my daughter and stuff like that, so I was trying to be caring. And my daughter's into sketching as well, and she was drawing mandalas, and I think she's just bought some Winsor & Newton brush markers, and she was using those. So we both sat, everybody must have thought we were absolutely crazy, all the nurses, because we both sat in there in the hospital sketching. Anyway, back to the drawing. So I just used the pencil in paper 53. This is kind of how I intend to use it to start with. I was just getting a feel for it really, and using the brush on its side, tilting it to do lots of shading. The first day I forgot to take, I had to take my glasses, we was in Birmingham. I had to take my glasses with me, but I forgot to take them to the hospital. So the first day, which is where we're at now in the sketch, I couldn't see a lot. I don't wear glasses all the time, only for close-up work, and I couldn't see much at all really, just sort of vague shapes. And you'll probably see that in the sort of detail I've got in the sketching. So it's like two separate sketches really in one. I've got this first sketch, which is not much detail. You can sort of see the full thing there, zooming in again. And a second sketch that I do over it on the second day when I went back to the hospital with my glasses, and I went back in and put a lot more detail. I didn't quite like the first sketch, but I didn't feel as though it was finished, so I had to go back into it. I really do like this app. I felt that the first sketch I did in the first video did look a bit mechanical and not quite as though it had been drawn on paper. This one, when I'd finished it, I really did feel as though it felt more like a sketch out of my sketchbook rather than something I'd just done as sort of a test. So I'm using the paintbrush there. I created a palette of, you can see on the screen now, of greys ranging from black through to white. I think I explained that in the first video that I made. Well, I'm using that again, I have noticed actually, if you pinch the page and go back to your sketchbook and then open it up again, it defaults to the original colour palette, so I then had to go swiping back to the palette I wanted. So I'm going to investigate a bit further. I think I saw somewhere where you could set a particular palette as a default palette. Now I'm on the second day, and you can see I'm going back in with a vengeance now, and I'm getting the detail in the boats. It's not, I say detail, it's still not exactly massive detail. I used my finger there. I discovered that you can smudge with your finger, so I smudged the water to try and get it a bit more of a water effect, obviously. And you notice I put a few lines in it as like ripples on the water. I do like the shading. I think it really is like a pencil, and the combination with the water, it's just like using an aquarelle pencil really. I really was impressed with this. Another thing I like about sketching, you don't have to worry too much about straight lines, and you'll notice I'm not paying particular attention to perspective, and even the horizon line of the water wasn't horizontal when I started. I think I did level it up a little bit. Oh, look at that, I'm really going in with the detail there now. I found that if I wanted to put detail in with white, I was better using a white pencil rather than the eraser. So I was selecting the white and drawing very lightly. The eraser was just a bit too heavy. And I don't know what's going off with those windows in the top building, like just the round blobs. I think that was from the first day where I just sort of blobbed in windows roughly with the eraser. I couldn't even see how bad they were. So they will get some attention in a minute. And I'd missed this, I didn't even see this sort of, I don't know what it is, some sort of lifting device, I guess, for lifting the boats out of the water perhaps. I'm not too sure. Again, just sort of putting shading in there, and I'll be using the white pencil probably to put a little bit of detail in that lifting mechanism. Here we are with the windows now, that's better. I'm feeling happier that I'm getting those in, because when I looked at them the second, I thought, oh my god, you really have, your eyes are not as good as they used to be. But that is cool when you're doing sort of impressionist type work and you don't want too much detail. I suppose you can't really get bogged down with it because you can't actually see it. I'm really looking forward to going outside, and I will do next week. So the next video you see will be me out and about. There's a couple of nice little villages near I live with thatched cottages. I'm thinking of going along to one of those villages and doing a little bit of sketching in my book there. I might do 2 or 3 to come away, and I'm thinking that I've got to go and do the sketches with a point of view of bringing them back to make paintings. I just want to point out that if you want to see the paintings that I do before I release them on video, if you check out my Instagram, if you look for Steve the Scribbler, I always put my paintings and drawings on Instagram maybe a week before you see them on YouTube. So if you want to sort of get an idea of what I'm going to be doing video wise in the next few weeks, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see them there before the actual videos are released. I think I'm just putting the final details in on this now. I was really pleased with this. I felt this looked a lot more natural than the first sketch I did. I just loved the texture that pencil puts. You notice I always shade the same way. I'm left-handed, so I always sort of shade from top left to bottom right. Not good for when you're doing handwriting now, I have to say. I'm not so good in the old calligraphy market. Hey, looking at the door there, you see that the first day I didn't even see that that door was hanging off its hinges. So there you go. I thought, how did I miss that? So I went in again and put that in and made sure that I got that hanging off, because I thought that was quite an important detail that sort of gives you an impression of that even though it is a working boatyard, it could probably do with a little bit of attention and TLC perhaps. Going in there on that bush and putting in a little bit of grass and things and a bit more shading on that side of the building. So I'm just sort of tidying things up now. I didn't think the roof line was right. I wanted to get that bit of tiles that was sticking out of the building in there, deepening up the shadows in the water. And then finally I sign it, which means I haven't finished it, of course, because I always go back in and do a little bit after. And then I thought I'll put the name of the boat in, the name of the boat yard in, so I just wrote that in with white on the top of that. And that is it. That's my second sketch in paper by 53. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, a big thumbs up, that would be much appreciated, helps me out a lot. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I've got lots of videos coming up and lots of ideas that I want to be sharing with you. Thanks again. See you in the next one. Take care and bye.